Um, Thank you all for joining us today. We'd like to welcome you to this session for our OACE conference, Google and Me, using Google's Applied Digital Skills in an ESOL class. We have two of our speakers here today. We have Martha Nikuto, who started teaching over 20 years ago in Chicago in a sixth grade classroom, found herself immersed in the Ukrainian village, and found a need in the community for an adult ESOL course and created a program. She has taught intermediate ESOL for the last 4 years in the Kansas City School Adult College and Career Readiness Center. We also have Anna Adams. She has been an ESOL teacher for 3 years and has enjoyed helping her students improve their English and achieve their goals. She earned her master's in TESOL from Kent State University. She now works with Kansas City Schools as the Adult College and Career Readiness Center, where she's not teaching. When she's not teaching, she is reading, listening to podcasts, and spending time with her family. Welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Are we ready to start? Can just jump in?
Yes.
Yep.
So
Okay.
the chat is open for questions if you have them. We'll ask Anna and Martha if they would like to take those questions during the presentation or after the presentation, whichever one would be more convenient for them. Go ahead.
Oh, we'll also be watching the chat, okay. So we'll be taking the questions during.
All right, great. All right, thank you so much. Welcome, Martha and Anna.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for the introduction. That was so lovely. So like she said, we're going over Google and Me using Google's Applied Digital Skills in an ESL class. So for today's presentation, oh gosh, hit the wrong button. So for today's presentation, we're going to first talk about what is Google's Applied Digital Skills, what kind of free things they offer. Then we're going to move on to the G Suite certification, which is a certification you can get after doing a number of lessons. Finally, we're going to talk about our own experience with it, how we did introducing it to our ESL students, and then we'll end with an interactive demonstration where you will be the students. So to get started, who are we? We are the Adult College and Career Readiness Center. We're a pretty small program located in Canton, Ohio. We have 3 classes, a beginning ESL, intermediate ESL with Martha, and then advanced ESL with me. We did this class only with the intermediate and advanced. And at the start of this year, we try to offer integrated education and training courses. We were lucky to receive a grant for these classes, and they're basically job training courses. So we try to use the Google Applied Digital Skill lessons. Has anyone ever used one of Google's Applied Digital Skills lessons? Is anyone familiar with it? You can write in the chat yes or no. So I'm going to guess maybe no one's familiar with it. So I'm excited to share with you guys. It's a lot of great resources online. Let me make sure that, okay. So this is the Applied Digital Skills kind of home page for lessons. All of these are, again, free. They are video lessons to direct students. So right here we have, you can choose based off the audience. I think you could probably easily adapt any of your lessons for whatever your population is, but we're going to look at adult learners because that's who we have. They also have lessons designed based on the digital tool. So if this is you're working in Docs, if you're working in Hangouts, in Sheets or in Slides, we're going to look at Docs for our example right now. And then finally, you can also base it on topic. Since we're a adult college and career readiness center, we're going to look at that. So as you can see, these are some of the lessons they offer in this for this group. And so they have just lessons on how to use Google Docs. If your students are really not digital literate, you can take these lessons and help them learn. They also have lessons just for in the topic career and college readiness. We had our students do the start a resume lesson, and we're able to start their resume and start making one, which was really fantastic. Again, they are video lessons, so you start with these videos and you go through them and At the end of each video, there's a task they need to complete. Each lesson comes with these different teaching materials. So that's a lesson plan. You can download the videos. I've never had, but you can, and as well as a certificate. Sometimes if you're lucky, they even come with a rubric. And you can join up with your Google account. It's very easy, again, free, and you can create different classes. And in these different classes, you can add different lessons. So we have one for the G Suite certification, but you could do one for just resumes or something short. Our students usually use Google Classroom, so you won't see a lot of progress on it. But if your students were using this website only, you could see what videos they were on, how much they're doing, and you can also see when they're actually signed in and working. So it's pretty nice. Okay. So now we're going to G Suite certification, where Martha is going to take over.
So this is a very large undertaking that we took on. You can design it the way you would like to. We chose to do a complete certification for our students. So we included all of the G Suite certification courses, which include Google Drive, Google Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides. To get the certification, they will need to take a certification exam. We started this program in September, and somewhere around October, the middle of October, we found out that this was no longer going to be a certification exam. So, however, just to let you know, the cost of it is $75, but we were, again, able to get a grant for this. There are vouchers available. There are different discounts. So as I said, we found out that the certification exam and being able to have our students get the certification exam will be retired on December 31st. So we will hopefully be getting our students certified the week of the 13th, 14th, 15th in December. So Google will be doing something. They'll be keeping these courses for you, but the certification process may look differently. Does anyone have any questions so far as to what's available and what we did? We'll explain a lot more, but we wanted to stop here and check to see if everyone, you can share in the chat if you'd like, if you have specific questions, and we'll answer them. Okay. We'll go on with our experience of what we did, and then later we will show you how to do this. Oh, there's a question.
I think there was a question. I think it takes a second.
Okay.
From Marilyn, there's a question. What's the purpose of the certification? So the certification shows employers that you are proficient in using the whole G Suite. So like Martha said, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. So it just shows that you are capable and that you know how they work. Kind of like how before, or even now, they still have like Microsoft Suite certifications. So.
Yeah, it's just something for them to be able to put on their resume. It looks really good that they know how to use computers in any line of work, really, nowadays. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so with our program, we have an intermediate and advanced combined classes. We teach English to those courses, to those classes. We took both of the teachers, so we were able to teach together, to combine, to do a hybrid course. So again, this is how we set it up. It might be different for you. We were able to get back into our building in September, so we and our students really wanted this. But we didn't want to overwhelm with too many students. We also we found out during COVID that some of our students loved this idea of being able to stay home with their kids and still learning. So they were able to do online learning. However, some students came into the classroom. So how we set it up was Anna would stand towards the front of the class with the students who were online. We would project it on the screen and she would teach up in the front. I taught in the back and kind of looking over their shoulders, make sure they're in the right place. Computer skills is a very difficult thing to tackle with ESL students, especially. It took both of us to be able to teach this together. Originally, we started having it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We teach a morning class and repeat the class in the evening. We did this for 1 hour, but we discovered that we found out that our students weren't quite getting enough English. So we changed that up to doing it on Wednesdays. We were also kind of giving them so much information at once. We wanted them to have enough time to go home and practice what they learned that week. So we changed it to doing it 1 day a week for 2 hours. This helped the students, again, be able to complete their tasks and have more time to think about what they were learning. We structured our program so that it met all the needs of our students. We had some students, again, who were stay-at-home moms. So doing the business model was one of the ways. We have 3 different models. Let me go over them first. A business model, an education model, and the general model. In the business model, we made resumes when we were in Google Docs, for instance, or in Google Sheets, we went over estimating finances for a business. But some of our students weren't interested in that. They were interested in going on to college or going or just staying home moms maybe didn't want to do this. So we also offered an education track where they would do more higher level thinking to be able to read articles and brainstorm ideas. Something you would do in a college course. And then we also had a general track, again, for the stay-at-home moms or anyone else who just wasn't interested in the business or education tracks. So they could make a family newsletter or track monthly expenses. For our students, most of them did choose the resume writing. So we were excited about that. So they all had something complete and good at the end of our Google Docs lesson. Okay, Anna, are you going to review the Google Classroom here
Yes.
or later? Okay.
No, yeah, I'll do it here.
Okay.
I lost. Okay, there we go. So there we go. So we use Google Classroom, and in Google Classroom for each lesson, we generally have the same materials. So we had a link to the lesson, we had this pre-check survey, seeing what they already knew. We had slides of the material, corresponding Google form, a starter project, and a checklist. So I really want to point out the starter project first. So for each lesson, they usually had Google provided this starter project, which is what they would work in and what they would make changes to. Because of our school district's internet, it would sometimes block students' access to it. So we would have to find a workaround, and I'll talk about that workaround next. First, I want to talk about what Google provided and what we had to make ourselves. So Google provided all the things in red. They provided the link to the lesson, the pre-checked, again, the starter project, and the checklist. We made the other 3 stuff. So we had to make the pre-check survey, kind of. So I want to show you what I mean by that. So we made this pre-check survey just to see what they already knew in Google Docs. And I took that from a survey at the end of each lesson. So each lesson has a survey. We don't have the students do the survey because some of the questions, again, for ESL is difficult. And 2, it's like, what's your gender, your highest level of education, things that we don't really care about. So I just took the things that I liked and put it into our own Google form. And then we had slides that had all the information as well as additional vocabulary we wanted to cover and additional questions. And we had a form that was identical to the slide for students that were mobile and also for students that missed the class. And then they could just do this Google form to cover everything we talked about. And just to show you, again, this is our Google Classroom that we used, our G Suite certification. And so just so you can see, we have all of our things that we've covered so far. And so there's the link, the pre-checked, the starter project, which is how we worked around the problem with our internet. We would just have an assignment and then everything's there. All right.
Okay, so I guess you are all using us as your guinea pigs for this project, and we will share with you what teaching the whole entire Google Suites does for a teacher to be able to do for their students. Again, it was a huge undertaking to do, and we've been doing this in September and are finishing in December. The good things about it is that the students were, maybe not, it sounds weird to say this is good, but the students were extremely fearful and worried about using computers. We found that the COVID and has created an opportunity for us to kind of force our students to do something they didn't really want to do. But we figured out with COVID that they have to learn how to use computers so that we can continue teaching to them. Doing this, helping them learn computers thoroughly, really gave them a sense of, I can do this. Every little step we took, they learned a little more. For instance, with Google Gmail, something they were familiar with, they knew how to email family. If we showed them how to change the font in their email, they would be able to change the font in Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slides. It's all the same format. You don't have to learn new things. So we took something that was easy like Gmail for them and showed them things that they could do with color change and making it larger and simple things, to where we got more difficult and more difficult, where they were making it Google Sheets and they were using spreadsheets and doing functions and doing math in an English class.
Ready?
Yeah, and so the bad, there's always a little bad with the good. We did discover that this was something that was difficult to start with. Again, they were very fearful and very worried about learning how to do all these things. Having them back in the classroom helped a little bit to be able to calm them down and know that we're right there to help them. The vocabulary was difficult for them. Just using the technology was very difficult. Some students had difficulty accessing computers. So having them back in the classroom helped them use the computers. I do have to say the students that worked from home often would do the Google Meets with us with a cell phone, and then do any of the projects we were working on with a computer. If they were lucky enough to have several devices, that seemed to work the best, to do the Google Meets on a phone or on an iPad, and then the actual work on a computer. As we went on, the vocabulary became more and more difficult. We felt that they might have been watching us where we're clicking instead of actually learning the vocabulary behind what they're trying to do. When we tell them to merge cells, do they really know what merge cells mean, or are they just watching where we're clicking? So we had to really be careful of that to make sure that they aren't just watching us go through the motions, that they're learning this on their own. Okay. The lack of technology did cause problems for some students, but again, we were able to open our facility. I don't know if this will work for everyone. Okay, anyone have any questions about how we implemented this? And then we'll show you how to go about doing a lesson.
All right. So it looks like there's no questions, but if you do have a question, feel free to pop in the chat. Yeah, we're going to start with the interactive demonstration. So I think I'm going to send you guys some things in the chat, so look out for that. If you're on your phone, I wouldn't recommend doing this. It's a little hard. You'll have to have the Google Docs app to do this. But yeah, let's go ahead and start with the Google interactive demonstration. So we're going to do the Google Docs part 1. So if this was a real class, I would direct students to the Google Classroom. I would tell them to open up the starter project. Again, if you want to follow along and do this with us, this is you going to copy the link and put it in the chat. You could go ahead and click on that, and if you click on that, there we go, you'll see something like this. So you could make a copy, and once you make a copy, it will open to this. Yeah, so let me know in the chat if you're able to open it and able to see it. So we would get to this point, students would have the starter project open, and then this is where I would pull in the, on the right page, the Google slide. So just to explain a little more about the Google slide, we would talk about what the whole lesson is about. The links are there, so if they open the Google slide, everything is also there for them. And for each video, we would have the same kind of outline, the same kind of format, where I would talk about what we're going to learn in the video. A before section where I would talk about any vocabulary that's difficult. We would watch the video, and then we might do some questions afterwards. And then finally, there's a complete the task. With each video, there's, like I said, some homework that goes along with it that the students have to complete. The first video of every lesson is an introduction. Not much is going to happen. So for our interactive demonstration, we're just going to skip that and go to the second one.
Yeah, the first one asks you to sign up for Google and go through those steps. So
yeah. So again, I'm going to treat you guys like you're my students, and this is the second lesson, and we're about to start. So this is the second video. We are going to be covering in this video how to paper size, margins, orientation, and page color. If you guys don't know what that means, that's okay. We'll learn about it in the video. Before we watch the video, he uses this word a lot. He uses the word adjust a lot. So does anyone know what the word adjust means? So like the picture shows, he is adjusting the temperature. He's adjusting it to make it warmer, or maybe looks like he's trying to make it a bit colder. So again, adjust is to change or to change something basically. So he's changing the temperature. And in this video, we're going to talk a lot about changing this Google Doc, changing things around, adjusting things. So let's go ahead and start the video.
it's going very slowly.
It's going very slowly, the video. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, I wanted to get a chance to watch it, so I'm sorry if it's the internet's a little slow today. But so right here we might pause because default and the explanation they give is a little difficult to understand. So we might pause, talk about default, use the example of Facebook, like your default profile picture, that kind of thing, and then keep going. So I might skip ahead because we already have the project open, so I would skip this part. So right here, I would pause the video, I would open. So if you have the Google Doc open, you could follow along. So I would show them what they just saw in the video to make sure, go to File, open Page Setup. Might do this a couple of times. Martha would be going around looking at everyone's computer to check it out. And then we would just make sure that we have this page open. I would also talk to the online folks. I'm just kind of like how I'm talking to you. Are you guys there? Can you see the page setup? Do you need me to show it again? I can definitely show it again. Let me do it one more time. We go to File, Page Setup. So a lot of repetition, making sure they see and are going where they need to. So then I would pause again. So I would pause every time he did a task. So I would say, okay, let's do this. Let's do the paper size. So let's change it. I would also have them play around. He talked about how things can look smaller or bigger, but they might have a hard time understanding that. So I would say, oh, let's look at a really big one, the tabloid, and then hit okay. They can see, oh, it's a really big page now, right? And we would go back to File, the page setup, and then change it to the one we want and see how it changed. So a lot of this is hands-on, like even if they don't understand the language, we can still show them what's happening, which is really nice. Then we would go back to the video. And then again, pause the video, go back, tell students, check out landscape, look at how it changes the paper. Now it's sideways, and then go back and click on portrait. And so again, Martha would be checking in with students, making sure that we all are on the same page, so that we know what we're doing.
I don't know if the rest of you, I'm having a hard time hearing the video. I don't know if everyone else is having a difficult hearing the video, but he talks in, you see the subtitles. You can change the speed on which he talks to on every Google video. So you can switch it to slow so that your students can really take in the information that he's saying. This is a really good practice for them for listening skills.
All right. So I won't continue with that, but yeah, you can take them step by step and go through it. And so what if a student misses the class? What if they can't be in class to look at it? Do you hear this? So this is where the form comes in. Everything is exactly the same as the slide, but it's all collected in the form. So students can use this almost as like a roadmap for that one lesson. So it shows what they'll learn. It has this pre-check survey there. It asks you to make sure you're logged into your Google account. And then this is the first video. Sign in. There's vocabulary you might need to know. Go ahead and read it. Watch the video. And then complete the task. And then I might ask them a question. They would have to answer the question and then complete the task for it. So each, like I said, each video comes with a slide that I would use in class for the teacher, or students can do this at home on their own in this nice little package that has all the links, has all the tasks, has everything there that they need. So Martha?
Yes. Any other questions at this point? Again, we chose a very large piece of the cake to bite off here. We really made a big commitment. If you were to choose to do the entire course, it's a very large commitment. Our recommendation would be to maybe spread it out over a longer period of time. However, because we found out in October, we had to take this certification by December, the end of December, and it was changing, that we had to kind of go faster with our students than we would have normally liked to have done. It may be a little overwhelming for our students to have gotten all this information. I do have to say that we have a lot of students who are really computer savvy, and then we have a lot of students who are working really hard. They're young, and so they can get this really fast. If your group of students are older and not computer, loves computers, kind of like I am, I'm learning a lot along the way too. You just have to choose what classes you might want to give them instead of doing the whole entire course. Maybe using it as a supplementary material instead of doing the whole entire course. You don't want to overwhelm them. Using it in as supplementary material is highly recommended. For instance, you could do a Google Slides presentation and have them learn about Google Slides at the beginning of the year, and have them create a presentation about themselves to explain to your other students. This is something I did with my students, and they loved it. They were able to create, they put pictures of themselves. Some of my students are from countries that they didn't have pictures of themselves. So I told them, showed them how to find stock pictures, and he found this wonderful baby picture of some other baby, but he put it up for himself and pretended it was him. So you really have to pay attention to what the needs of your students are when you're asking them to do an assignment like that. They might not have photos, but they're able to find anything on the internet. So that was just one suggestion. There are so many ways you could use this. Having them write their own resume was huge for our students. I've been trying for the past 4 years to have students write resumes, and until I was able to use this with Google Docs, did they finally complete something. So I was really happy to use this in our classroom and be able to use this.
All right, so it went a little quick, but that's the bulk of our presentation. I wanted to say you can contact me for the materials. So my email is right there. And so also, if you have this slide, I have the link right here. So you can follow the link, because I'm assuming we're going to send out the slideshow, and it's going to take its sweet time. But if you click on the link, all of our materials for the certification is here. So you would click on lessons, and I'm still working my way through each lesson, but let's say you liked the Google Docs material, they're right here. You can click on it and then make a copy. You can make a copy of the slideshows. Maybe you want to get rid of a question. Maybe you're like, oh, my students are super smart, they don't need these words, or maybe they need more words to cover. So you could just make a copy again of it, because right now you're just a viewer, so you can't make any edits to this. But yeah, all the materials there are available for you guys to use if you want to use it. So, or you can contact me, send me an email, and then I will add you to the folder as a viewer, and you can access the materials that way. So there's a link for you. You would just be able to click on contact Anna for the materials to get to the materials, or you can contact me. And yeah, so any questions?
I thought maybe you could stop sharing the screen, Anna, and then we could talk about ideas that have come up with our people in our audience. How would you use this in your classrooms? You want to put your screens on so we can see you and have a little discussion about ways that you could use this in your classrooms. Did we lose you? Are you all sleeping out there? Ah, there. Uh-oh.
I'll just say, Martha and Anna, with the ELL instructors, I think this would be a good, did you find, I guess my question is, did you find that lower level students, would they struggle with this? Or do you need to be a higher level ESOL student in order to kind of navigate your way through this?
Yeah, there's a lot we don't even try with our beginner students. However, I know that it could be done if you changed the way if you didn't try to do the whole Google Suites.
Okay.
For sure, you could take the presentation of doing a slide, for instance, and show your students how to do this. A lot of vocabulary, but sometimes when you're doing something physical, you don't need that vocabulary. They'll learn by watching you do something and creating a slide. Again, if this is remote, if you're teaching this remotely only, I think it would be a little bit more difficult.
Right.
But nothing's impossible is my way of thinking. So,
well, not at this time, no.
yeah. I mean, believe me, in March I was like, I can't teach online, and now I'm a rock star. I'd like to say. I've learned a lot.
Is there a payment for okay, so they get so when the student finishes the whole Google Suites kind of training or certification, they get that certification, and that is paid for by?
The school will pay for it, so that's part of the grant funding.
Okay, so the grant will pay for it.
Yes. So again, it is $75 per student. There are discounts available for education use.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's closing December 12th. So
understand. Yeah. I mean, I think I really like it because in this time that we're in, learning these things about the computer is very relevant to what we are actually in the middle of doing. So yeah, I think from that standpoint, I might have some instructors who would for sure like to try something like this. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's really nice because you can just cherry pick what you need. We decided to do the whole thing, but if you're like, nope, just need this, then yeah.
All right, any other questions from June or Peter or Mary? Nope.
Okay. Well, then we might end if there's no more questions. I guess
I can add. I'm subbing a business basics class right now that we just started through our program, and the end certification of that class as an IET class was going to be a Word certification. So similar to the Google, like they have to go through so many different training sessions and learn how to do different things, along with like learning how to open a small business for themselves. But it's been pretty challenging because most of the students don't have Word on their technology that they're using. So we're dealing with that right now. So we can't progress any further but it's very similar to this Google certification. That's why when you first started, I wrote it down really quick. I'm like, oh, this might be a good substitution, but since it's expiring in December.
The certification's expiring, but Google is free. So to have our students learn this, it just so happens to be what our Canton City School District uses. But the good thing about it is you can use it on their school computer, and their documents are saving to the cloud, so they can use it wherever they go.
Right, but so the key of the IET classes is that there's some type of certification at the end, some type of test that they have to take and get certified. So that would have been perfect to substitute for the Word, but if it's expiring and we don't know what it's being, if it's not being replaced with something, that probably.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, it was a big bummer to see that.
They may replace
They say that in the year 2021 they're reimagining it, so I'm thinking that it's coming back. And I think it's good that they're reimagining it because we had to do a lesson on Hangout Meets for it, and that stuff was all outdated. Like I was teaching them stuff, and I was like, no, we have to learn it for the certification, but it's not what you really need. So I think you check back in a year, and it might be there.
Yeah, and the problem with Word is like if they do have Word, they have like 2007, so they don't have the updated version. So we're trying to find a free version that they can actually download onto their laptops or their desktops. But I don't know if that's something that they'll be able to do. Like, is it going to be easy to download? I don't know. So I'm dealing with that right now.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, June, we might, you know, on the side of this topic, we might have to check with Tri-C because you probably could get that download through the college.
Well,
Did you?
Tess is checking.
Okay.
This was yesterday. I found out that almost everybody didn't have it.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
on a tablet, which is totally different than having it on a laptop.
Yeah.
But will they be able to download it themselves at home is the
That's the
question.
question. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If we were face to face, I think it would be much easier.
For sure. For sure.
Close it. Okay. Now I cannot hear them.
Any other questions?
I can't hear anybody now.
Oh, you can't hear. Well, I don't think anybody's talking right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is everyone here an ESL instructor, or are there different kinds of instructors? I think this would be useful for GED or any other programs also.
I'm ESL, but I'm also involved in the IET program. So IET is now including GED students along with ESL students. So I have a mix in the IET class.
Thank you for sharing. Vilvi said this looks great. Oh, she's teaching ESL and AIM. Okay. All right, if there aren't any other questions, and we're not going to share much, I guess we're having an early lunch.
Yes, we are. Okay. Well, thank you both. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Anna. Great presentation with the Google. We loved it, and definitely useful for both of what we do for ABE and ESOL. So thank you so much.
And
All
we
right.
do have our lunch and networking session starting at 12:15. So feel free to grab your lunch and join us there.
Yep.
And we can all chit chat and share. Any topic is fair game during our networking sessions. We've certainly talked about a whole host of things during those times.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right. Thank you.